Well, welcome to a very special edition of the Intelligent Community. I'm in the Limburg province here in the Netherlands, and we've been spending a couple of days rolling out their new marketing program, but also announcing officially their Smart21 candidacy and their ascension into the ranks of intelligent communities. So with that, we have a very special guest, Mr. Stephan Satijn. He is the regional minister for Limburg province for economic development. And I'm just absolutely delighted to have him here because he is part of the brain trust that has made this place an intelligent region. So there's a lot to talk about. First of all, welcome to the Intelligent Community, our podcast.
Well, thank you, Lou. We are very honored to be in the ICF, but also to be in a conversation with you over our beautiful province.
And it really is beautiful.
It is.
We've had such a great time here. First question, though, there are, despite everything you've got going here, and we'll get into that a little bit.
Sure.
This is not necessarily a well-known province. People know about Brainport, they know about Eindhoven, of course, Amsterdam, the big city. But there's so much going on here in this region. Can you give us just a snapshot, Mr. Minister, of what this is like, business profile, sort of overall, if people were to come here and look at it for investment purposes?
Within the Netherlands, we have a bit of a different profile from the outside perspective, to be honest, because we're one of the youngest provinces in the Kingdom of the Netherlands, to say so. That has to do a lot with our history. But we have already established establishments here from the Romans. So it's a very rich community, to say so. It's a rich culture, there's rich tradition, but where there are people, where there are Romans, there's also trade. So when it comes from an economic point of view, this is a very unique area, and that's not because I'm from here, but if you look at the geography of the province, it's pretty remarkable, because if you look how much outside border we have with our neighbors from Germany and Belgium, that's 3 times, let's say, the natural border that we have with our own country. So we are very internationally focused. Which means that we are also not only looking at our economy from a national or from a provincial perspective, but far more on an international perspective. So we have lots of conversations going on here with our neighbors from Belgium, from Germany. So we are very internationally oriented economy, and we behave like that.
And English is spoken ubiquitously.
Like French, like German in this province.
It is,
And that is due to our international location. So people that live here, that are born and raised here, they have to adapt.
And it's interesting, right, because you're bordering those two countries. I mean, it would be like in the United States, New York bordering Connecticut, or New Jersey, we all speak English, but here it's different languages. So there is that requirement for the purposes of business. Yeah, let's talk about the business profile, because I've been privileged here to visit the campuses of the Brightlands program, which is just, as I said yesterday, this place is bleeding innovation. I mean, it is all over the place. It's incredible. What is the general business profile of the region overall?
That's a good question. That has to do, of course, again, with the location that we have. We are very known for logistics. So if you look at our province, it's essentially very profitable how it's being located against the border of Germany, which is a big market in Europe. Belgium, who is hosting big ports like the Netherlands as well. So the 2 ports, Antwerp and Rotterdam, are the biggest ports in northwestern Europe, to say so. From a trade perspective, that's very important. So you have a lot of trade flows coming into Europe, so you have a lot of logistics. So the province of Limburg is very known for its logistics capacities. And we have, of course, a big cluster of industry and also chemical industry. It's at the Gemmelot site. You've been there. It's one of the biggest sites in northwestern Europe again. And of course, we have a lot of SMEs in this area. And next to that, healthcare is one of the big pillars as well in this province.
And you know, I think intelligent communities around the world, many of them will relate to this, because not so long ago it was a mining area as well. You had DMS, the big company there, resource extraction, and you mentioned Camelot, which is an innovation campus essentially. And I did visit there. Was blown away. They couldn't get me out of there. What is happening at Camelot? Because that is focused on many things, including circular living,
Right.
Taking chemistry to the next level
Correct.
for
Correct.
commercial development.
Right.
How would you describe that campus? Because it sits right next to an industrial refinery, right?
Yeah, but if you look at the profile of the industrial site, it's one big value chain of 200 factories consisting out of 60 companies that are working closely together and are dependent on each other. So it's a very integrated value chain there. There's not simply one switch you can turn off without any consequences for the
Right.
whole site. And that goes from very base chemicals to more fundamental chemicals. So it's a very interesting site. So I said, it's very important for the economy of the Netherlands, of course for Limburg, but also for the Netherlands, but for the whole Northwestern Europe. It's one of the strongest integrated sites we have in Northwestern Europe. So that's a big thing. And about 15 years ago, the province decided to invest in an innovation campus next to the chemical site. Because what we see in those days is that, let's say, the old-fashioned chemical industry was not going to last for very long.
Yeah.
So the innovation point of that, together with all the companies out there, has been established into a campus which we have visited. Of course, we're 15 years along the way, but it's, let's say, the oldest campus that we have. We have 4 in Limburg. So we have one in Venlo, one in Zacharilla, Gelmot site, one in Maastricht and one in Heerlen. And our province decided to invest in those campuses because we think it's very important that if you want to be successful, not only as an economy, but you want also to raise the social benefits out of that. You have to make sure that those campuses have a more than an economic role in our province. And that's what we first did at Gelmot, which was a big turnover for that site as well, because it was not only a question from the provincial government itself, but it was a hybrid discussion that was going on with the industry itself. So
Right.
they were looking for a way to create a new innovation hub and let's say, culminate that at one single spot in the area. And hence, we decided to, like you rightfully say, put the innovation site right next to the chemical site.
Yeah.
And the ideal model for those campuses is right what you have seen at Gelmot campus, because we're not investing only in innovation programs, we're not only investing in making sure that the quality of the environment is there, so we facilitate well, but at the end, the campus is sustaining itself.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a business model for a innovation campus.
Ecosystem of ecosystems is the phrase you use here.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And so it's more than economy, it's more than figures. And what we see, because when it's self-sustaining, it means it has a role in the economy, they can self-sustain. You see a huge impact in the environment, to say so. Like we discussed yesterday as well, also from a social perspective. So people are interested in the innovations. People find their new jobs, because new jobs are being created there, which they find interesting. And we are used to reinvent ourselves, to say so. We're sitting in a very inspiring environment. So this is the next reinvention of the economy of the province of Limburg. And to be very honest, Lou, I'm thrilled about it.
Oh, well, it's just, I mean, it's an historic time for you, because communities don't go through these transformations every year, right?
No.
It's every maybe couple generations.
Correct.
But one question I did have, though, is you talk about long-term commitments here. I mean, everybody is bought in for the long term. How in the world do you get the political class to buy into anything for more than 10 years? Because many of them will be out of office, there may be other parties coming in. How do you build that kind of political constituency to keep these remarkable projects sustained?
Well, this is typically a subject when it comes to the future of your province, where luckily, in the political situation in the province of Limburg, people realize that this needs a long-term commitment. So they're willing to put in a vote for a very long time.
Yeah.
And longer than probably their own role will be in politics, like for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very open and honest on that.
You're thinking about the next generation as well.
Right, and you should be. You should be.
You should be.
I think that's a responsibility
as
a government to not be busy with very short-term subjects, how important they might be. But the future of your own province, the future of your economy, the future of your own welfare
Yeah.
is at stake at some times, and we want to be very clear on that. So we are reinventing our province economically and also socially for the next decades.
Yeah. Which again, I think is remarkable. I mean, you may take it for granted, but you know it doesn't happen often in parts of the world. There was another big event yesterday, and also something that is now rolled out, a great campaign called the Brightlands campaign. So when you look at the Smart21 of this year, you'll see Brightlands-Limburg.
Correct.
As the actual community, right? For the purpose of the Smart21 award, and hopefully more for you. Can you first explain, what's the term Brightlands mean? Where did that come from, and what's the significance of that?
Well, Brightlands is basically the brand for the 4 campuses. We decided to brand, let's say, the innovation purpose in our province, and Brightlands was the elected name those days,
Yeah.
which comes together, of course. Bright, well, everybody can think about Bright and how that could be applied to the innovation that we are facilitating here. And Lands is more like we are in different areas. So the Brightlands is a well-established name in Limburg, but again, we were using that more or less, I wouldn't say 100% internally, but for, let's say, the campus activities that we have. And now it becomes more than that, as you know.
Right.
Also, when it comes to the partnership with you, we are now expanding in our activities. We are not rebranding, but we are putting the brand more at the forefront, to say so, of our province. And basically what the aim is, the actual aim is of the campaign, of which you saw a flavor yesterday, which was very impressive.
Yeah, it really was.
I mean, that's, and all the credits for the team who's working on that. Will be actually the new innovation label of Limburg. So when it comes to innovation, when it comes to science, when it comes to our economy, the actual aim is that when people think Brightlands, they think Limburg. When they think Limburg, they think Brightlands.
Right, and Brightlands is being threaded throughout this, so it's almost becoming sort of a feeling, right? Which is the idea. People identify themselves as people of light, the brightness, people who are innovators. I think it's in your DNA anyway.
Well, if you recognize that we're doing well.
Exactly, yeah. You definitely are, and you're also doing well by building this, should I call it a device, or it's actually called the ET Pathfinder. And, well, you tell me what this is about, because you are bidding for the Einstein Telescope Project, which is one of the most significant projects in space exploration and science history.
Correct.
But you've built this already behind us.
Right.
What is the ET Pathfinder?
Well, you can recognize the ET Pathfinder. If you dive a bit more into the Einstein project, you will see that it's a new generation gravitational wave research instrument, to say so. Right. It's a big laboratory that will be under the ground, and what you see here is a kind of a test environment. So this is not a mock-up or a demonstration type of research instrument. This is a real research type of instrument that we are building here. It's not finished yet. But when it comes to the Einstein Telescope, which will be built in around 2030, this is the first lookalike, to say so, in which actually scientists can develop new technologies for the Einstein Telescope, but can also do actual research. Yeah. And this is a very interesting device, because at this moment already we have researchers coming from all over the world to contribute to this new research instrument, but also to do their research here. So actually, when we were bidding, or started the bid for the Einstein Telescope, we agreed with the university to build a new faculty around this project, to say so, because let's say the University of Maastricht was very known for law and economics, to say so, and health. And now we also have a beta science faculty, which is the fastest growing faculty of the university, which is amazing.
It is, yeah.
So this is top-notch scientific research in the world, And we're doing that here in Maastricht.
Yeah, it's an incredible project. Obviously, the Einstein Telescope will be measuring gravitational waves.
Correct.
Which we've never been able to do. Einstein, knew they were there. He knew
Correct.
more or less how they were created.
Right.
But he said we can never measure it. It's just too subtle, I think was the word.
Yeah. Well, at that moment there were not the instruments, of
right.
course.
We're talking 1917 or
correct.
like that. But now
yeah.
it's going to be done here,
yeah,
and it's remarkable. And yesterday we heard a lot about the spin-offs from it, and it actually reminded me of something that's going on in Waterloo, Canada, with the Perimeter Institute and quantum computing.
Right.
Same thing. They were going to give birth to that industry and call themselves Quantum Valley. The University of Waterloo now has a huge quantum computing department. Very similar to that other intelligent community, but this one is much more collaborative because you're again going to be working with Germany and Belgium on the bid, right? For the
Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands to start off with, but to be very honest, if you look at the research community that is involved here. Of course, there are a lot of universities as well from the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany, but also from far out. So we are meeting here scientists from all over the world, like I said, from the US, from Canada, from Japan, and other European countries. They are here. So let's say the scientific community is working to get on this project. They're not so at this moment. They're not really biased to which location it might be. They just want to go for the scientific research, of course, which is great, and we support that, and we like to facilitate that.
We become a magnet, actually, for scientists and scientific innovators.
Right. And I briefly mentioned one of your first questions but we strongly believe in this is not a research project. We're talking about the new economy for the future here. We're talking about the new staatsmijn and DSM of the future, because this is going to be huge. Let's say the actual Einstein Telescope is a huge project when it comes to designing, developing, building.
Just the services around it, the things that are going to get developed around it, the transformation and pipe engineering.
But also the research at this moment, of course, to see whether it can be created in the environment that you have here. It's a huge project.
Yeah. And there's, as I said, there's just so much of this kind of innovation going on. I mean, not necessarily at this grand universal scale, but we met a company called Mosa Meat.
Mosa Meat, yeah.
Right, curated meat. They're taking a biopsy of a cow, one cell, and creating food from it.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they are close to market entry, to say so.
Are they?
They are doing the research now, but also here. If you look at the investors that are behind, of course, we as a province also took a share, but we have a lot of international investors that are supporting this kind of innovation, to say so. And that also gives a clear sign that it's desired to be developed. So the biggest success, of course, when it comes to innovation, if you have market success, to say so. You rightfully said that I'm a business guy.
What I found interesting, we met a young scientist who actually studied at the University of Bangalore. And he said, I came over here, I thought, there's some interesting science going on here. So he said, I figured I'd stay 6 months. He's been here 4 years, he just bought a house. So, and we heard stories like that continuously wherever we went. So there's something with the vibe here.
Right.
People are starting to be attracted to Maastricht and the region, not just for the great food and wine and quality of life, the dolce vita, but something else complementing that.
Well, it culminates in the area, and you just told me you don't want to leave either. So.
No, I'm not going.
Well, that's it.
That's it. That's all you need to know. So I mentioned that you were recently named a Smart21, and you and the governor accepted the Smart21 award.
I'm very proud of that. So
yesterday.
Thank you for the nomination.
Well, let me ask you about that. With respect to the Intelligent Community Forum, now that you're a part of the global network of 200 regions and cities that collaborate together, that are the best of the best, what's your sense of what that award means to you?
A lot, to be honest. A lot. And let me tell you a little secret, if you don't mind, because the team who made this happen was also in the room.
Yep.
This actually started not 2 years ago. I think it started in 2019 when I met one of the team members, and I was not in my current role. And we were talking about this ICF already at that, so that's 6-7 years ago. And we were at an international fair in Munich, and he brought it up to me and said, well, listen, it would be very, very interesting for the province of Limburg to be part of ICF and see whether you can reap the benefits out of that. Not for a nomination, but to be part of the community.
Yeah.
I said, well, yeah. And we discussed that, and we kind of made a plan. And at that moment, it didn't work out with the government that was in place at that moment. But now, I was already convinced that ICF membership would be of great value for the province on itself. And when I was in my current role, I met the guy again. I said, listen, we had a conversation a couple of years ago in Munich, in a nice restaurant, Dolce Vita. And he said, we discussed it, we agreed on it, are you willing to go for it? And that is about a year ago, so we go for it. I mean, I'm convinced. So let's stick. Because now, but also, let's say 5-6 years ago, I was convinced that being a member of ICF brings us so much fruits for the experiences that the other regions have. There's so much to learn. I mean, we're not a closed, gated community as a province of Limburg.
No.
We want to share what we do here, and we want to learn from other regions. So for us, it's a huge deal becoming a member. For us, it's a huge honor to be nominated in the top 21. Our governor is really thrilled. He was also a part of the team to make the membership work, to say so. So you're sitting next to a very proud member of the government, but I just want to explain as well that also our governor is very, very proud.
Yeah, and he was also very generous with his time. He spent a lot
Absolutely.
of time with me.
He enjoyed it.
Yeah, he seemed to be happy.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
The last question, I want to just talk a little bit about sort of the tactics of strategy here. The idea of circular living.
Right.
It has a lot of meanings, but in many ways it's almost a spiritual value. It is really respectful of both what's possible in nature, but also how it can transform itself into a prosperous economy.
Absolutely.
It's not an easy thing, though.
No.
There's a lot of investment that needs to take place, a lot of innovation, a lot of ecosystems being developed in ways that you can't always control.
Right.
Mr. Minister, if you were to look, say, 10 years down the road at this sort of comprehensive strategy in Brightlands of circular living, what would you hope to see? What would you hope would be your legacy when they say, you know, he was a great minister for the economy?
Well, that's not something that I'm busy with from day to day, how they value me to say so, because that's totally unimportant. What is important is what do we establish with the investments, the strategies that we have in place for circular environment and circular living. I mean, we're pretty far on that from a national and international level, but what you see is hiccups in acceptance in some areas of the industry, rules and regulations that make it unfavorable at this moment to invest in circular research or circular developments, but we're dealing with them step by step. So what you will see is that we don't need to, let's say, preach to the converted anymore. So
right.
that work has been done. But what you will see is that from provincial, national, European, maybe also worldwide rules and regulations sometimes make it uneasy, to say so, uncomfortable for companies to make the final step to decide to invest. And that also goes for the, let's say, for the living facilities. And that all has to do with mindset, dare to take risk.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe that people see the value of circular. So, like I earlier explained, we're preaching for the converted if we would put more efforts on that area to convince people. That's not necessary anymore.
Right.
We have to make it work.
Right.
And so on the rules and regulations side, of course, governments play a huge role. So I think there are the efforts that we have to put in place next to the investments. And step by step, I will think it will work out. And from in 10 years, we will have made a huge step, is my certain belief. Also when it comes to environmental discussions, we see that people are willing to take huge steps. So the risk appetite is growing, to say so, which is good. So in 10 years, I'm pretty optimistic.
Yeah.
That we have taken some significant steps all together with each other.
No, you certainly have, and I think it's very well said. I believe people do want it,
sure,
but I also believe they need leaders. They need a leader.
Absolutely.
And I would encourage anybody to come here into this province and look
They're
around.
They're welcome,
and
hopefully they never leave, like you.
That's right. They can come to my place and stay. Anyway, Stephan, thank you so much for spending the time. I know you got a real busy schedule today. We really appreciate it. And congratulations again on the Smart21.
Thank you, very honored, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. And that's Mr. Stephan Satijn. And we've been talking to him on the intelligent community about the newest Smart21 community in the world, Brightlands-Limburg. Take care. We'll see you next time.